Hello and welcome to semifinal coverage of Grand Prix Las Vegas Legacy Edition. I'm Brian David Marshall, joined in the booth by Pro Tour Hall of Famer William Jensen. We are watching Jody Keith playing his beloved lands deck against John Semeyn playing Blue-Red Delver. And he kicks things off with a fetch land for a volcanic island. And, well, this could be any number of things here. Lots of plays on turn one for this deck. And Monastery Swiftspear is going to be where he decides to start. And he follows it up with a Gitaxian Probe and takes a look at it. And Exploration, Dark Depths, Thespian Stage.
So turn...
That's a turn two...
Turn 2, 2020?
Marit Lage, yes, yeah. Absolutely. That is a turn 2 Marit Lage if Jonathan can't disrupt this at all.
So I'm just taking a quick gander over here at Jonathan's deck list. It looks to me like he has no Wastelands in his deck, and he has one Vapor Snag to interact.
Okay, I mean, he can Force of Will this Exploration.
Oh, sure, he can deal with the Exploration. I just meant to deal with Marit Lage proper.
Yeah.
You said Jody has played a lot with this deck, and he's going to go ahead and sort of get the Mox Diamond in play first.
Jonathan seeing when he needs to make a decision, I guess, about that resolving. And then it looks like Jody, is that one of the new cycling lands that
yeah, the
Jody's
red-green one. I'm going to be honest, I don't know the names that well.
I believe, red-green cycling land.
This Exploration...
Which is Sheltered Thicket.
This Exploration has to be Force-Willed, right?
Yes. Yes, and you know what? Samuel Themaratinum had a chance to counter Exploration and did not. He Force-Willed a Picting Needle instead in the quarterfinals, and that was fatal for him.
Looks like it's going to be sort of tough for Jonathan here. I mean, Jody, of course, doesn't bother casting Wasteland, or activating Wasteland. Who cares, right? He just wants... He's going to take this hit. He's going to take one more before Marit Lage theoretically joins the table.
So there's the Thespian Stage. There's Thunderous Wrath off the top. So 5 to you. So 2 prowess triggers. That's 9, yeah.
We'll put Jody to 7.
Please, Courtney Staunton, report to the blue main stage.
I actually think that was a mistake, potentially. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm trying to think if there's any reason he should have dazed his own Thunderous Wrath to get the damage in.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's going to do 2 this turn. I think so, because next turn,
So he can daze it and pay.
Daze it and pay, because imagine now, next turn, if Jonathan draws a Lightning Bolt, Marit Lage can block 1, and Jody can survive at 1. I think that was maybe a slight misstep. I mean, it's not sort of a logical thing. You don't generally play Magic thinking, oh, should I daze my own spell? But sometimes.
Well, especially with prowess, you really do. You need to think about it. Each spell you're casting represents, in this case, 2 extra points of damage, which is just crucial. All right, there is Dark Depths. So the way this version of the combo works is Thespian Stage becomes a copy of Dark Depths, but it has no counters on it because the counters are an enters the battlefield thing. So it automatically becomes Marit Lage.
Right.
When you copy.
And a Delver, so in the end it didn't really matter. What's the actual, I should know this, but what does Marit Lage do exactly?
It is a 20/20 flyer indestructible.
Does it trample?
I don't know. People just concede when you play it.
Not Jonathan.
I mean, this game is very close.
Well, not if it has trample.
It is just flying indestructible 20/20.
All right, so it's not over then. I mean,
no. So Storm Chaser Mage gets in the way. Jody is going to Wasteland a volcanic island. looks at the top card of his deck. He can flip. Oh, look at this. Gets to flip with Price of Progress.
It's not enough because of the Wasteland.
So the reality is the Wasteland can take out Jody's own Grove of the Burn Willows here.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one option. The other option, it looks like Jody's thinking about this. I think it's safer to just let Price of Progress be the draw. I wouldn't worry about it if I were Jody. I would just be resigned to be totally fine wastelanding my own Grove of the Burn Willows. The other option is Jody could wasteland the Scalding Tarn and hope that Jonathan's last card's not a red land, but I think it's too risky. I just don't think there's a need for it.
All right, in comes the Monastery Swiftspear. And that's going to bring him to 6. The Insectile Aberration is on chump block duty here. And yeah, that's what it does. Just gets in the way.
Molten Vortex.
Wow. Now Jody is able to discard lands to do 2 damage. Basically a Stormbind type effect. And
I think Jonathan came up just a little bit short. I think Jody sees this play for sure with the Wasteland on the Grove, and I think that's why he didn't Wasteland the Scalding Tarn.
So first things first, looks like he is going to, is he going to activate the Molten Vortex? Oh, he's going to crop rotate here. Sorry, I thought he... So what does he get? Does he get a basic land? Does he get Glacial Chasm?
Does that prevent all damage to you?
Yes, it does.
That works.
So the tutor effect of crop rotation. So your cumulative upkeep is you pay 2 life.
But its creatures maybe only don't deal damage to you. A lot of cards in Magic.
Creatures you control can attack, prevent all damage that would be dealt to you.
Okay, that works too.
But he doesn't have to pay the cumulative upkeep on his turn. He can sacrifice it.
Yeah, and I mean Merit Lage is gonna finish the job here.
So the lands deck, ironically, is going to end the game with no lands in play.
Yeah.
There you go. He sacrifices it. Attacks for 20. And John Semeyn is down a game with Blue-Red Delver. Price of Progress, a card that seems like it should be great in this matchup. But Jody Keith wastelanding his own land.
Yeah, a big part of the problem was that he was able to see it coming because the Price of Progress had to get revealed to the Delver.
Yeah. So here you get a look at Jody Keith's deck and sideboard. And as you can see, it is a lot of land. I mean, he can win with the Punishing Fires, but for the most part, he's looking to win with that Merit Lage combo. What do you think is going to happen here, sideboard? How do you like Drop a Honey?
I don't think Drop Honey is very good against a deck with like a Delver deck. It kills the Delver, but it dies pretty quickly, right? Drop Honey gets sacrificed if there are no creatures in play.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess this isn't a normal Delver deck. Jonathan's deck has Delver, Secrets, Monastery, Swiftspear, Storm Chaser Mage, and Bedlam Reveler. So maybe...
There's Tireless Trackers in the sideboard. Is that a card you start to think about? Like, Tireless Tracker, every time it's in a sideboard, it always seems like it's correct to bring it in.
Yeah, that's more about standard, I think. I wonder if Tireless Tracker is a nod to the Stronghold Gambit strategy.
Oh, interesting.
Just to have something to show. I know I was talking to Jarvis earlier this weekend. He said in one game his opponent played Stronghold Gambit, and he was able to reveal Tireless Tracker, so his opponent didn't get to put in Gristlebrand or whatever. I don't know if that's what it's there for. I think also it's just one of those cards that's going to be a pretty potent threat against some of those Stoneblade type decks. If they're going to board out their creature removal, you got to keep them honest a little bit.
Sure.
Tireless Tracker in a deck full of literally all lands. I mean, it's going to get big quickly. It's going to present lots of card advantage, and in combination with a card like Mana Bond,
Exploration.
Yeah, Exploration. It can really get out of control very quickly.
Couple interesting cards in John Semeyn's sideboard there. Blood Moon, obviously a pretty exciting card.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blood Moon is close to a win card. I mean, certainly the land deck is prepared for Blood Moon, like you can see. Jody's got 3 copies of Croson Grip. But that's it. I mean, if he's not able to remove it, I can't imagine how the land stack is going to try to win.
Yeah, looking at that Submerge in his sideboard, how likely is he to think about bringing that in? How often will Jody have a forest in play for him to consider that card?
I think it's probably good enough.
Just even if you have to just hard cast it?
It's not the end of the world, right? Like, it does answer a 2020 Flying Indestructible. And, I mean, you can expect Jody to have some number of forests. Like, he definitely is going to have some basic forest, probably some green dual lands.
He's got those Tigers.
I mean, the red-green cycling land's a forest, right?
Right. Sheltered Thicket, as we learned earlier.
Allegedly.
According to some sources.
Yeah. So I think I would probably board it in.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of ways for him to deal with that card.
No, there aren't. And I don't think you want Bedlam Reveler.
Yeah, I mean, look, I imagined that second Price of Progress is going to come, even though it didn't look great there, but
It's good enough. The third Price of Progress, actually.
Third,
He's got
okay.
2 in the main deck.
Wow. Vapor Snag, another good answer main deck to a Merit Lage.
Yeah. These kind of matchups are tricky. I mean, yes, Vapor Snag deals with Merit Lage, but on the flip side, I mean, I would have it in my deck because I don't know better. But on the flip side, sometimes if you draw too much of that stuff, it gives your opponent too much time.
Right.
Like, I think...
And Jody is perfectly capable of just doing the super grindy, punishing fire, Grove of the Burn Willows kind of action.
And just taking control of the game and using cards like Mazes of Ith to control the board, and Tabernacle, and just sort of play like a prison type game. So you don't want to get caught up in one of those games and have a handful of Submerges and Vapor Snags. But on the other hand, you don't want to lose to a turn 2 2020 flyer either. So
now I'm curious how often Jody's someone who's played probably this matchup or similar matchups anyway, countless times. Does he start to think about that Submerge? Does he sort of try to avoid his forests as they go into this game?
Well, I think there's a inherent conflict there. It's hard to avoid forests and play around Blood Moon. Like, you have to be set up to deal with the Blood Moon, right? So the first thing Jody wants to do...
Oh, he wants a basic forest.
He wants a basic forest,
wow.
Right. So there's an inherent conflict there. I think it's too important for him to have green mana. I mean, maybe if he has a hand with Mox Diamond, you'll see him ignore the forest. But on the flip side, if he doesn't, he has to be able to operate if there's a Blood Moon in play, in my opinion.
So a couple of one-of sideboard cards that may factor into how this match plays out for John Semeyn. Now, what's Blue-Red Delver's ideal opening for this matchup? Like, what is it? Just looking to just turn one Delver, flip it, and back it up with a little bit of burn.
I guess is the Sulfuric Vortices are going to come in, and I think just a hand with some cheap interaction, maybe a creature threat, and a Sulfuric Vortex, something like that, is a pretty good opening hand. Just a lot of pressure, disruption, maybe your one Vapor Snag for insurance, and Sulfuric Vortex. I mean, it should do the work pretty quickly, I think.
See that 504 MTG jersey that Jody Keith's wearing? He's on the same team with Donald Smith, member of Team Lingering Souls, a team that's in the right now the top 4 of the Pro Tour Team Series.
I think Jody's from Arkansas. Is that right? I might be mistaken.
But a lot of guys here with the 504 MTG jerseys cheering him on. I'm told that that is a Louisiana area code, which is also where Donald Smith is from, so that sounds about right. There again, we have the deck list up there. 3 Maze of Ith. That's what I want to see when I see a Legacy deck. Right? I want to see Glacial Chasm. I want to see Maze of Ith. I want to see Caracas. I mean, I like seeing some new cards. I like that Molten Vortex makes the cut here. You know, maybe Drop of Honey's not good, but I'd also like to see a Drop of Honey get a little action here. that's an
Drop
old.
of Honey is an old school card.
Yeah, that is Arabian Nights. All right. Jody take a mulligan here? No, he did not. Oh, yes, he did. Okay. So he scries to the bottom. Pretty interesting watching Samuel Themaratnam play Jody in the quarterfinals. Sammy T went go on turn 1 without playing a land. He had a Wasteland in hand, but didn't want to put it at risk.
Sure.
And was hoping to just slow roll it into disrupting Jody's draw.
And it was his only land, I guess.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan has the Volcanic Island again. Turn 1, fetches into it. And there's that turn 1 Delver we talked about. So Delver's Secrets comes down. Grove of the Burnwillows. And that's going to gain a life for Jonathan, but there's Exploration.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like there's a Force or a Daze this time.
And then Wasteland takes out the Volcanic Island. And there's your Daze.
A little late.
Daze is going to transform that into an Insectile Aberration. And Jonathan's got a clock on the board. Pretty interesting to see a deck that's trying to kill you with a 2020. Sometimes trying to kill you in one turn. The Grove of the Burnwillows.
Yeah.
Sometimes working at cross purposes.
Everybody fetches, man.
Yeah. Jody also has a Barbarian Rings in his deck. He's sometimes he has to Barbarian Ring for that last extra couple points.
I mean, also the Grove of the Burnwillows is there for punishing fire.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. All right. Monastery Swift Spear. Jonathan is not at all stunted by that Wasteland. He's able to just
He
keep
might be
things
by
going.
the second one in this Life from the Loam. This is a pretty cool turn. Another Exploration.
Oh, wow.
Another Wasteland. And Maze of Ith.
There you see Wasteland get played. He gets another land drop off of the Exploration.
See, Jonathan does have Surgical, though, so he won't, he'll be able to I know it's tough. He might have to get rid of the Wastelands as opposed to the Life from the Loam itself, depending
interesting.
on how things play out.
So there goes a Volcanic Island again. Second Exploration, like you said. So now 2 more land drops coming this turn. There's Maze of Ith. I like that he puts it up there with his, spell permanents, not his lands. So he's going to be able to keep that Insectile Aberration at bay. Shows him Life from the Loam.
Time for Jonathan to start fetching basics, I think.
So he still has land to play. Scalding Tarn. And that Surgical Extraction could be pretty interesting if Jody goes for Life from the Loam next turn. But you think he doesn't get a basic.
I think
he's just going to keep it going.
I think as it sits, if Jody doesn't draw a land, I think Jonathan's best chance is to Daze Life from the Loam and Surgical it. Now,
oh, wow.
if Jody does play a land, it's considerably more difficult, the decision. Given that Jonathan got Volcanic, he may be forced to get the Wastelands, because otherwise I think he's out of mana-producing lands. But this is a tough spot.
So Chain Lightning you, attack with both, and then Maze of Ith takes out.
Jody played that land fast. He knows
Yeah.
what he's playing around.
There's Horizon Canopy. He says, I'm going to cast Life from Loam, returning these 2 Wastelands. By the way, I'm going to play them both this turn. It gets dazed. He pays.
Yeah, what that does is that protects his Volcanic from the Wastelands. So he has a chance to use his land for mana.
Interesting.
Scalding Tarn, a decent draw.
There's Surgical Extraction for Life from the Loam. So is that at all backbreaking for Jody?
Well, I mean, backbreaking, like, he can still win. But
I think I saw a drop of honey in there, by the way.
oh yeah,
I did.
I believe you. He can still win, but certainly, like, getting this Life from the Loam engine going very quickly was going to be a good path to victory. To do, you know, it's like almost drawing 3 cards a turn instead of drawing 1 card a turn. 2 expirations in play. You can play all these lands. Also, if you incidentally happen to mill a Punishing Fire, stuff can get out of control really quick. So
right. Those explorations are more or less blanked right now, right? Like
I mean, sort of. He does have a Horizon Canopy in play, so he can draw 2 cards next turn. You know, I don't think he's going to have Jody's going to have a ton of turns in the near future where he's playing several lands.
John, no rush to crack that Scalding Tarn.
Be nice for Jody to find something like a Tabernacle.
He just cracked his Horizon Canopy.
I think he has a Dark Depths, and I don't know.
Yeah, that was a Dark Depths.
Obviously, Dark Depths Thespian Stage is a great combo, but even at Thespian Stage, to just make another Maze of Ith would have been a nice draw. Ghost Quarter.
That's Ghost Quarter instead.
He could have played both, but chose not to. He wanted to conceal the fact he had Dark Depths in his hand, or maybe protect it from Wasteland.
Okay, so here comes Scalding Tarn. This is going to unlock a Storm Chaser Mage. Groot has another land in hand. Jody's at 7, so you know he's getting whittled down here.
Yeah, I mean, Jody needs to find something pretty quickly. Punishing Fire would be quite good, I think. A Thespian Stage would get him a 20/20. I'm not. It's probably still enough with the Maze of Ith floating around.
So there is Storm Chaser Mage.
Once again, 4 p.m. to any giant players. Round 3
So untap your Insectile Aberration, but that's going to drop Jody to 5. Going to need to find something.
Is that a crop rotate? Oh, a Drop of Honey.
He did drop a honey, yes.
So whose upkeep does Drop of Honey kill in?
See if we can get a look at that card up on screen.
Wonder if Jody will just play his land and start doing it the old-fashioned way. It's on screen now. At the beginning of your upkeep, destroy the beginning of your upkeep. Okay. So. Wow.
Oh, there's Thunderous Wrath. A fun of in
What a miracle! Yeah.
Semein's list, and he gets the win here, so he evens things up 1 game apiece. He's like, yeah, I knew Thunderous Wrath was the perfect card for my deck.
Yeah, exactly. If that's not proof, I don't know what is.
I mean, why isn't this deck called Blue Red Miracle?
Yeah. Even though there was a Drop Honey, I do think that was going to be a bit of a tough game for Jody. I mean, he was going to go to 3 that turn, which is obviously 3 is the magic number against a red deck.
Yeah, I mean, a few cards. I mean, Glacial Chasm would have bought him a turn.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he had no chance. I'm just saying he was in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So not uncommon for these Delver decks to have different sideboard plans, play and draw.
I think that's just not uncommon in Legacy. Literally, sometimes on the draw, your 2 mana cards are just too slow. I don't know if that's necessarily a matchup. If this is a matchup where something like that takes the highest level of effect, but certainly play draw splits are not uncommon in really any format, and I think maybe even
And you
more
think it's
common in
maybe
Legacy.
most pronounced in Legacy?
It could be. I mean, the card Blood Moon, for example, is hugely different player draw.
Sure.
Not in this matchup, but
Right. At any point that someone resolves a Blood Moon, that might just be ball game.
right.
There you get a look at Jody Keith, deck and sideboard again. So that Surgical Extraction has been a card that has really shined this weekend.
Yeah, it's a strong card. I mean, it's good against entire strategies. I mean, there are a lot of graveyard decks in Legacy, Dredge, Reanimator, lands, and Surgical Extraction can really just be completely backbreaking quite often.
Yeah, and the fact that it's instant, the fact that you can just disguise that anything's coming, you just pay 2 life. Yeah, it's just free.
It's good with Snapcaster. It's good against Snapcaster sometimes too.
Right, you see the players just Jody tuning things up. Drop of Honey still in there.
Drop of Honey was one of those cards that everybody wanted, but it didn't see a lot of play.
Yeah.
Back when I first started playing, it was like Diamond Valley. Remember that card? Drop of Honey, Diamond Valley, Elephant Graveyard.
Where's your deadly insect, Jody Keith?
Yeah.
Where's your deadly insect? There's Diamond Valley.
Look at that card. It doesn't. You don't eat. It's a land. It counts as your land drop. You can't even tap it for mana. Tap to sacrifice one of your creatures in exchange for a number of life points equal to its toughness. Note.
How did you guys not go team number of life points when you were choosing team names?
Hold on. Note that this ability may be used after blocking has been declared. Just take note. You may use this ability whenever you want.
You kind of have to like stand up and address the table. Like, everybody please take note.
Yeah, just hold on. I have something to say. I'm going to play a land that doesn't tap for mana. I can sacrifice my creature to gain life. And hold up, one more thing. I can do it after I block.
I mean, there were Diamond Valley decks.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did.
I don't either, yeah. But it was a cool card. I mean, cool looking card anyway.
Magic, of course. That's a good 25 years ago. That's like from probably the second year of Magic. That's probably 24 years ago that those cards were printed in Arabian Nights.
I don't think I ever had a Diamond Valley. I don't think I ever owned one.
I definitely owned one when I had a store.
Oh, of course.
I don't think I've ever had one in my collection.
I assume Jody, well, obviously Jody's going to be on the play.
He was on 6 cards last game. Let's see what he does. Is he keeping this 7? He is.
Is that a gamble?
So there's Mox Diamond. Dump a Taiga.
Prove that you have your 18 points, and they will drop you and give you 60 tickets.
And now he's going to gamble. So now he basically gets to look through his library for any card, put it in his hand, and then he discards a card at random.
Yeah, but this is Vegas.
So when he discards a card, it's going to stay here?
I don't know. Either everybody loses in Vegas or nobody loses in Vegas. This is Grand Prix Vegas. The gamble's got to pay off. If any gamble
are you writing headlines for the text guys right now?
Yeah. Take note.
You can exchange this headline. Then you get a look at gamble. Search your library for a card. Put that card, like just one of the the fair cards in Urza Saga.
Yeah, it's pretty fair, right?
Did you happen to see what he searched for?
I didn't. We'll never know.
A lot of times people will
he
search
flips
for
the table.
Life from the Loom here, and then you don't even care if you discard it.
He discarded Dark Depths. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the card. I see a Thespian Stage in his hand.
Oh, he might have just searched for the other half of the
Yeah,
the
of course. Had it been Thespian Stage, I might be saying now, well, I see a dark depth, so it could have been that. I mean, who knows? Maybe. Okay, it was definitely dark depths.
Two thespian stages and a ghost quarter here.
That's unlucky.
He hit 0-0.
1 and 5.
There you get a look at thespian stage. It adds. You could tap this one for mana.
That's good.
Yeah. And then for 2 and a tap, you can make it a copy of target land. That still has the thespian stage ability.
Right.
So we saw like maybe Jody Keith just made his land a copy of an island at one point, even though he was gonna untap and then use it for the Dark Depths combo just for muscle memory. Just make sure he was doing it. Yeah. All right, Delver of Secrets comes down for Jonathan Semeyn after his Gitaxian probe. So Jody Keith digs with Horizon Canopy. There's a thespian stage. Another Mox Diamond. Discards his other thespian stage. So there's Surgical Extraction. So Dark Depths is going to go away here.
5 30 standard players. Your pairings for round 3 are being posted. 5 30 standard players.
There's Monastery Swift Spear.
Posted.
There's Surgical Extraction, and he just points right at that Dark Depths. That gamble really did not pay off for Jody Keith. Although, I mean, he was really likely to have discarded a thespian stage, and it would be the same result here.
Well, he would have probably assembled the combo by now, because he had two thespian stages, which he knew when he gambled. I mean, if he only had one thespian stage, my guess is he probably would have tried to gamble for something like Loam, although I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. Jody Keith is now on the long game plan.
I think this is a very, very marginal play to main phase
the
surgical on the Dark Depths instead of during Jody's draw step. You gain 1 damage and you lose the ability to let Jody draw Dark Depths and get 2 out of his hand. I'm not sure what's better. I think it's pretty close.
All right. Jonathan Semeyn gets in for 5 there. There's a Ghost Quarter. Can't quite see what he has in his hand. Oh, there's a Blood Moon, but we're not near the point of casting that.
Yeah, I don't think Blood Moon's going to do very much anymore. Like, the combo doesn't do anything, maybe.
Oh, sure. But, you know, that shuts off a Tabernacle or shuts off a Glacial Chasm.
It does a lot. Also, more importantly, Jody with Blood Moon in play probably has no way to assemble the Punishing Fire combo, which is probably one of his best ways to win from here.
So, Brainstorm for Semeyn. Puts down a Bedlam Reveler. It looks like maybe a Scalding Tarn on top of his library. Plays his Flooded Strand. He's going to sack that, shuffle away the cards we put back on top. It's another Volcanic Island. So Blood Moon is not. Oh no, he shuffled away the Bedlam Reveler, so he may still yet Blood Moon next turn.
Didn't choose to get a basic island, though.
I was just gonna say it's the weird Blood Moon Price of Progress combo. Well, I guess the lands are still non-basics, right? They're non-basic mountains.
No, they're mountains, but Jonathan chose to not get an island. So
Okay.
when Jonathan plays Blood Moon, if his next land happens to be a mountain, then he'll have no blue mana.
So I can tell you, Death and Taxes has inevitably made its way into the finals and awaits the winner of this match.
And it's looking like it's going to be Jonathan.
Wow, look at this. He's going to cast that Brainstorm. He's also got a Smasher Smithereens in hand.
Yeah, I mean, if he finds a land, does he have lethal? So 3/3/3/3, no.
Oh, he's got a Bolt too. So this is Pretty gruesome here for Jody Keith. Jonathan's going to start off with Brainstorm. So 7 damage on the table becomes 8. It's like, oh, Blood Moon, you were cute. Not going to need you this game. Oh, Maze of Ith. Sorry, I did not see that.
Yeah, no matter how you slice it, though, Jonathan can't win this turn.
He is going to Lightning Bolt.
That's only 9, right?
Yeah.
Another Maze of Ith. Oh, there's a chasm. That's another turn.
It is only a turn, though. Cumulative upkeep's 2 life. He cannot pay for that.
It's 2 turns if he can next upkeep, trigger on the stack for the upkeep, Thespian stage it.
Oh.
So there's always one in play. So it's 2 more turns. Although,
Yeah.
what? Oh, you have to
Sacrifices
sack a
Maze of
land
Ith.
when it comes into
Yeah.
play.
It's sacrifices Maze of Ith to do it. Doesn't need to sack a land, though, on the Thespian stage activation.
Right. But he's going to lose.
Well, he's going to be sacking a land anyway. He's got to sack like Glacial Chasm. Glacial Chasm, by the way, doesn't tap for mana.
Of course not. What? Oh, that was his upkeep. Sure.
So it does exactly what you were mentioning.
Drew
But he just drew
Tabernacle.
Tabernacle. So what happens when he plays Tabernacle here? So John will lose 1 creature.
Well, it's unclear to me. I mean, I'm trying to think. So he can play Tabernacle. I mean, that's all his only real option anyway, right?
Yeah.
I can't really see the other cards, but it looked like fetch lands. He can play Tabernacle. Maybe he can get John to tap out, and then he can like draw Life from the Loam or something like that. But it looks like he also has a Thespian stage, and he might just have to run this same play back.
Oh, sure. Wow.
The problem is, we know if Jody plays Tabernacle, I think he's just going to lose. Because I think what happens if he plays Tabernacle, Jonathan can just let all his creatures die. I'm not saying he will. It's a really tough thing to do, to throw all your creatures in the graveyard. But then as soon as Jody fails to upkeep that Glacial Chasm, Jonathan can smash to smithereens one of the Mox Diamonds, and that'll be it.
So Tabernacle, Pendrel Veil, and yeah. Jonathan just picks up all his creatures and throws them in the garbage.
I think that's the play.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's a tough play to make, like I said.
Says go. So now there's a cumulative upkeep of 2 life.
Jody's going to Ghost Quarter his own land.
Yep.
And then he's going to die in response.
Yeah, smash to smithereens your Mox. And that's the game. Jonathan Semeyn, Blue-Red Delver, advances to the finals. And it's going to face off against Death and Taxes. So this is a very sort of new school
Jonathan's
legacy.
excited.
Yeah, yeah. So Jonathan Semeyn through to the finals. Jody Keith falls a little short on his promise to win this tournament,
That's
but,
okay. He did
but
very
makes
well.
top 4, qualifies himself for the Pro Tour. Good job there. I can tell you we've got a little peek at an Hour of Devastation Invocation. I don't know. We're going to show you some artwork right now. And then you'll get to find out later after the break.
I want to know now.
Well, I'll tell you during the break.
Okay.
Okay? And then after that, we will be back with the finals of Grand Prix Las Vegas Legacy Edition. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to the finals here at Grand Prix Vegas. I'm Lou Scott Vargas here with Patrick Chapin. We're going to close you out today with a pretty sweet matchup. We've got Death and Taxes, which you called, this is a Death and Taxes top 8, in the hands of Andrew Calderon there on the left, facing down Blue-Red Delver in the hands of Jonathan Semeyn on the right. The Blue-Red Delver deck a little lower to the ground, Delver of Secrets, Chain Lightning, Fire Blast, Thunderous Wrath. And Death and Taxes, of course, the mono-white, disruptive, small creature Stoneforge Mystic Equipment deck.
A lot of people wondered how long it was going to be until we saw Miracles in the finals of of a GP again. Guess we didn't have to wait long.
Yeah. Thunderous Wrath does have Miracle. Therefore, Miracles have made the finals. Well, Miracle has made the finals here at Grand Prix Las Vegas.
Yeah, just the one.
Yep. Unlike, of course, the number of Grand Prix here, there are 3 Grand Prix this weekend. We're closing out the first one here. This is the finals of the Legacy Grand Prix Las Vegas. The Limited Grand Prix Las Vegas is concluding day 1 today. Day 2 will continue tomorrow. And then Grand Prix Las Vegas Modern starts tomorrow. So, tons of magic. We've got, a matchup between 2 kind of fast, aggressive decks here. Lands getting defeated last round. Jody Keith, he gambled, didn't quite pay off apparently. Who do you have in this finals?
I don't know. I just still think that this is a great top 8 for Death and Taxes. I like Death and Taxes versus everything here. And I don't think this one's any different. I think that Blue-Red Delver is in it against anybody. I mean, it's got chances versus anybody. But I think that I like Death and Taxes here. I mean, I'm not a guy who just walks around thinking Death and Taxes has got good matchups and whatnot. But I think this is a fantastic weekend for Death and Taxes and a fantastic top 8 for it. So that's my my prediction.
Yeah, the combination of Ether Vial, Wasteland, Swords to Plowshares, Disruptive Creatures, and a couple heavy-hitting equipment. So looks like we're going to head down. The players are just about ready here, and we got the finals of Grand Prix Las Vegas headed your way. Alrighty, welcome to the finals here at Grand Prix Las Vegas. I'm Lou Scott Vargas here with Patrick Chapin, and we're going to watch Death and Taxes. There on the left, Andrew Calderon facing down against Jonathan Semeyn, playing Blue-Red Delver. And taking a look at our bracket, Jonathan Semeyn was the number 2 seed, Andrew Calderon was the number 4 seed, so Jonathan Semeyn is going to get to play first.
Yeah, and as another Delver deck, this is one of the matchups that Andrew was hoping to play against. And obviously a lot of Delver in this top 8 really paid off. But this is not actually the matchup where the Swords to Plowshares that help against so many of the other ones is at its absolute best. Without any Tarmogoyfs or any Gurmag Anglers, this is actually the Blue-Red Delver deck that's best positioned to be able to try to, to just make life difficult for Andrew. A combination of lightning bolts and chain lightnings can really give him a fair bit of interaction early. Price of Progress not at its best in this matchup. Not still not a blank, far from it, but definitely not at its best.
Yeah, when your opponent has 8 basic planes in their deck and 4 wastelands which don't stick around too long, you don't think Price of Progress is what you're leaning on.
But here we see Swords to Plowshares, and I thought this is just a great weekend for Swords to Plowshares. There's just so many things that can survive both Lightning Bolt and Fatal Push. And I don't just mean Merrill Edge. I mean, like the aforementioned Tarmogoyf and Gurmag Angler. I mean, not Tarmogoyf, but the Gurmag Angler.
So Swords to Plowshares will handle that Monastery Swift Spear, and that's going to leave Jonathan without a threat. He's got double Lightning Bolt, Price of Progress, but isn't making any headway on Andrew's life total here. Fire off a Gitaxian Probe and see the, I would say not great news. Flicker Wisp, Thalia, Phyrexian Revoker, and Batterskull along with a pair of Wastelands lurking in Andrew's hand.
This is a great mix for Andrew, all things considered. I mean, obviously, it'd be really nice to have an Aether Vial, but having plenty of mana to keep hitting your drops and the ability to both Wasteland and drop a Thalia, or potentially just keeping up the Rashad import, because if he ever drops Thalia with Jonathan without mana.
So So Andrew's going to go ahead and Wasteland. He could have played Thalia last turn, chose to use Port instead. We'll see if he repeats that, and it looks like he is. He's going to use Rashad and Port on upkeep, tapping down that Volcanic Island. Meanwhile, Jonathan's drawn some more bolts. His hand is now 12 points of bolts, 2 Chain Lightning, 2 Lightning Bolt, and a Price of Progress, which is currently only dealing 2.
Right, and it's tricky. It's not even a given. Unlike some of the previous matchups we've seen, it's not even a given that he's going to get that 2, because sometimes you'll end up in a spot where if Andrew drops a Wasteland, he can actually protect himself from Price of Progress entirely.
The question is, how many turns is Andrew going to wait before casting Thalia? Because currently he's just on the Wasteland plus Port plan, but Jonathan's got plenty of lands and not a whole lot else to do, so I can't imagine he's too unhappy about this turn of events either.
No, I mean, if your opponent's just going to be on the every turn Port you and Wasteland you could do a lot worse than having no cards you can cast and being a little flooded.
Well, Bedlam Reveler, a little bit difficult to cast.
Long range plan.
Currently there is 1 instant or sorcery in the graveyard, but this could lead to Jonathan start firing off lightning bolts.
Now he does choose to leave the Scalding Tarn intact, presumably wanting to have access to Volcanic Island potentially, or Island, depending on which way things go. But also just, that's a land you can't just port. I mean, you can, it's just a lot less effective.
Andrew Calderon plays second Rashad and Port, and then plays Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. So all of Jonathan's spells cost 1 more. So do all of Andrew's. He just has a lot fewer to cast. And much like other builds of Blue-Red Delver, we see 2 Island and 2 Mountain as basics, but Jonathan is just going to go ahead and get another Volcanic Island.
Yeah, this Delver decks can have a pretty big range of land counts, but Jonathan's actually playing 16, which is a little higher than some of the other super low to the ground Delver decks. You know, some drop as low as 14, but without any Wastelands of his own, I think Jonathan wants just that little extra bit of mana.
So Chain Lightning will take care of Thalia. Andrew's now playing Cavern of Souls. So he's up to actual 6 points of damage from Price of Progress here.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to get to a spot where the Price of Progress could do some very serious damage, particularly if he goes and fetches an island with his Scalding Tarn.
So Flicker was flickered out of planes, letting Andrew port on upkeep. Jonathan used that land that got targeted to cast Lightning Bolt and kill the Flicker Wisp. So Jonathan building towards Bedlam Reveler here. Currently 3 spells in the graveyard, about to be 4 spells once this Ponder gets cast.
Is there any chance we just see he just snaps off the Price of Progress for 6 while the getting's good, or do you think that'll be still open later?
It seems like that would still be open later, especially since Andrew might just play a Caracas or another Rashad and Porter Cavern of Souls.
That would be a great answer to Andrew playing like Caracas and Batterskull in 1 turn.
So seeing Island, Brainstorm, and Vapor Snag.
It warms my heart to see Vapor Snag so universally, beloved in much the way that Unsummon typically doesn't get the love.
So Jonathan choosing to shuffle those away.
So he's mainly looking for a clock here, right? Like, Monastery Swiftspear would be the dream, but even a Delver of Secrets will be decent at some point.
Well, Storm Chaser Mage, kind of the combination of those 2 things.
Oh yeah, if you got the mana for it too, but I guess next turn.
Jonathan debating whether he wants to just fire off Chain Lightning here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty aggressive stance, but with a Bedlam Reveler in your hand, you got to consider it.
Another Wasteland here from Andrew. He is pressuring Jonathan's mana effectively at this point.
That's the last Volcanic also. And with the Island and Mountain already in play, Jonathan actually only has 2 other land in his deck that make mana. Now, on balance, he doesn't exactly